I'm delighted to be joined here today by Gareth Meyer, who is the CRO of Technimove. Welcome, Gareth.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, firstly, can you just, for people that don't know, can you start off by introducing Technimove and what it is you do?
No, thank you. Yeah. I mean, Technimove is a 27-year-old organization, always focused on your data center migration piece. We've worked with high level enterprise organizations, so insurance market sectors as well as financial. So essentially, we migrate physical data centers from one location to another, whether that be virtual migration or migrating applications into the cloud. We specialize using public cloud services in our engineering. So ultimately, we're a PS-based organization, professional services, and we also work with the channel, so extended resellers across the globe. We have been doing it for 27 years, as I mentioned, but we've seen a shift in our organization. We're focusing on the likes of deployments, so net new installs, as we're finding customers refreshing with more modern technologies. And we also do professional services to condense data center environments. So looking at organizations reutilizing or using newer technologies to deliver high level outcomes to customers.
Great. And many people will know you from working in at partners in the past, so Ultima and other organizations. So is it fair to say when
Correct.
you joined Technomove or when you're evaluating your options that there may be some misconceptions that you or other people might have about Technomove and what it does?
Yes, and I was a customer of Technimove as well as a reseller of Technimove services. So back in my Insight days, working across UK and Ireland, we resold Technimove services. There was a misconception. We had a professional services function where a lot of the resellers were trying to grow and adapt their service offering. So they unfortunately thought our pre-sales function was focused on the hardware and software element. We're absolutely not. We're there to enable those channel partners to enable the customer to best utilize the technologies they're selling. And that's what our primary focus is in our professional services function. And in the migration business, we've created a niche in the market, I would say, ranked number one by certain publications in EMEA. We've always done the migration. We own the end-to-end solution. So that does incorporate things like logistics, our professional managed services function, but it's all about outcome-based services.
Great. And you have just come back from Data Center World. So
Yes.
what key trends did you pick up on there? Paint us a picture of the event for those that didn't make it.
Oh, it was absolutely a fantastic event. Most probably, Doug, we were there last year and we're exhibiting this year again. We had the opportunity to do so. You had the AI data, the big data sections, you had your cloud elements, and then you also had security and the traditional data center world. I think one of the biggest insights, or what I came away from the event, was how busy data center world was. We all talk about the transition to the cloud. We all talk about public cloud being the future. You look back 5 years ago, there was a mass digital transformation across the industry. But data center world this year was far busier than I've ever seen it before. And some of the key trends I took away was net new organizations that have never worked in the data center space actually inquiring as to how do they get involved, not to supply hardware, software, etc., from a reseller perspective, but actually to build and manage data centers. So there's a big shift in the market. We had a lot of repatriation conversations around customers trying to bring their data, I suppose, and core applications back from the cloud. That's the public cloud environments, to make sure they can ultimately reduce cost and potentially look at what we classify as next generation AI. That seems to be a massive talking point right across the industry today. And then the hyperscalers. It was very interesting to see all the hyperscalers attending the event. We had a lot there in partnership with Technimove, which was fantastic. But organizations who are purely focused as a provider of AI infrastructure to larger enterprise organizations, the likes of Nscale and organizations like that, were also present in a partnership with Technimove. So we're seeing a transition. Sustainability was one of the key messages that I think came out of all of it. But that really pushed into the regions, I think, that are using sustainable energy sources. So if I look at those regions, your Nordics, a lot of the larger scale data centers who battle to get the power requirements for AI are focusing on the Nordics, including Iceland and Finland as well. But it was quite interesting to speak to some of the newer customers that we had the opportunity to chat to around them diversifying their business. And, they're power suppliers to the energy grid in the UK at this point in time, but actually looking at diverting their business strategy and creating their own data centers.
Yeah, no, and so you mentioned the AI kit, the AI equipment is very, very powerful, very expensive as well. So
Extremely.
yeah, you're right in the middle of that trend. So what are you seeing in the channel on that trend specifically?
You've got your larger resellers that I think have got their foot forward on the acquisition of AI. You've always going to have your enterprise organizations that are looking at it through R&D, application build. I think your smaller resellers are going to be able to meet the demand for the smaller organizations. But I think we've got a big trend happening. If you look at your large global resellers, I think credit facilities are going to create a big problem. It's your distributors being able to supply that. Some of the costs of this equipment, you're looking up to £500,000 a device. If you look at the NVIDIA GB200s, for example, they're super power hungry. Gone are the days where you used to look at London, Docklands area, and 4.2 kilowatts to a rack would suffice. You're looking at one of these devices consuming 8 kilowatts a server. So, I think power is a big, big challenge. I think the resellers are quickly immobilizing technically to be able to supply this. You've got huge backlogs in play. If you look at the newer GB200s, for example, from NVIDIA again, the H100s, again, are very power hungry. So I think you've got a big shift. We are seeing some of the larger resellers win these opportunities, but it's the engineers to actually deploy it. It's very new technology. It's very expensive. You have to own the end-to-end process when you're deploying it, which has really helped. If you look at our migration business, we own the end-to-end solution. We deal with the pre-configuration work. We deal with the DOA testing to make sure the equipment is working in its capacity prior to going to site. You have the logistics element. We own all our own fleets, etc. GPUs don't travel well. One of the guys I met at the event could almost mention it as a Guinness, never travels well. So when we look to do the end-to-end solution, we accommodate all of those. And then you need certified engineers to deploy. We've seen some instances in data centers where the deployment hasn't quite been up to scratch. And again, this very expensive equipment. They're supplied by the larger vendors, which all the channel partners work with, your Dells, your HPs, and Lenovo's.
Yeah, no, great. And finally, what's the channel requiring from you in 2025 from Technimove?
I think the far reach of engineering capability, Doug. So if you look at where our core engineers and our infrastructure engineers are based, we have engineers in the Nordics. We have engineers right across Europe. Spain is another big location that's been spoken about, again, due to its hydroelectric power plants. And then you look at our fleet across the wider UK. And then I'll push out to the States as well. We've got a huge amount of engineers in the East and West Coast.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just to finish it off, I think you said in the past that Technimove may not be the cheapest option, but it's all about quality, controlling that quality of service. So maybe that's a good note to end it on. How would you kind of summarize your philosophy in that regard?
Absolutely. If you're looking at a hyperscaler that's focused on AI, speed and pace is everything. If they're going to invest £500 million in infrastructure to then put that platform available to their enterprise customers, I think speed to deploy, we have the engineering count to do so. 27 years experience in the data center facilities. That's all our guys have done for the last 27 years is work with very large, heavy infrastructure. And then it's also about it falls down right down to the cabling aspect. It's these organizations need their data centers to look good so they can resell them as well. Quality is everything. The last thing we want to do as an organization is see a rack. You're looking at £5-6 million worth of infrastructure topple over in a data center and effectively drop organizations' applications that they've effectively paid so much to run 24/7. So quality assurance and owning the end to end. So I think we're in a really good position. We have the networking, we have the security expertise, as well as the data center expertise.
Definitely. Thanks, Gareth. Well, what a great note to end it on. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dave.
Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me again.